Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to introduce a new series I'm going to be doing on my channel starting like the second week in April. I am going to be doing a pastel series because pastels are so fun and rewarding to work with, and I've had a lot of people ask me about them. So in this video I'm just going to go over some of the basic supplies, different kinds of pastels, so you can kind of have a good idea of what you might want to pick up if you don't have any pastels. But first of all, I want you to try what you have. If you have some pastels, go ahead and use them. So this first tray, this is how we used to keep all my pastels. It's anytime I buy like open stock pastels, meaning if I go to the store and I buy one pastel, it won't come in a package. I'll just put it in my drawer, and I have them divided by colors. And this is just one of my pastel drawers. I have about 3 that are there with just my chalky pastels. And there's all different sorts of grades of pastels. Like here, this is an artist grade pastel. You can buy these usually individually or in sets. You'll have typically, like you'll have one color, like, well, that's Roja Sienna. And then there could be like 4 or 5 different tints of that. So you can get very specific on the colors that you use. You can blend colors really easily, but if you don't want to do blending, if you want to just put down the pure pigment and leave it there unblended, that's a great option. Now, pastels come in different hardnesses, and I'm first going to talk about soft pastels or chalk pastels. They use that term intermittently, interchangeably, but they basically are referring to a chalk-based pastel or a clay-based pastel when they say soft pastel, as opposed to oil pastels, and we will talk about oil pastels in a minute, okay? I'll set those out of the way for right now. So here I have a bunch of soft pastels, but each of these pastels, different companies are going to have different hardnesses. So probably the firmest one would be the Prismacolor NuPastel. And I bought the full set here a few years ago. These are probably the more expensive hard pastels. You can also get Conte crayons or Pastellos by Prang, all excellent choices. But what makes the hard pastels really nice is that you have all these edges that you can work from. They're harder, so you can get a finer line, and they're less crumbly, and they're great for sketching in and putting on your bottom layers of your paper. They tend to be square usually, so you can get some really nice sharp lines without having to, you know, whittle them and waste your pastel, and they're just very easy to maneuver. Pastels are opaque, meaning you can use them on dark or light surfaces. This is a NuPastel from Winsor & Newton. And this is a Pastello from Prang, and you can usually find those at any department store. This is a little bit softer than a NuPastel, but you want to basically, rule of thumb, keep your hard pastel layers first because they're not going to clog the tooth of the paper, and the tooth is the texture on your paper. So you want your paper or board to have a bit of texture so it can hold all of this chalk. So then you've got your medium, kind of mid-grade your mid-softness pastels. Now these are, this is probably like SMI or Sargent. You can see they'll blend really well. You can lay down a lot of color. You can pretty much fill the tooth pretty well, but they do create more dust. See that? You see that dust that I made there? Now, for these, you can get these in artist quality. Like this is a Winsor & Newton. I don't think they make pastels anymore, but you know, Rembrandt, most companies do make them. And look how that is so nice and opaque and just so buttery. Just really beautiful stuff. Not a ton of dust on these. I noticed there's less dust on the professional pastels versus the student grade, but it shouldn't be a deterrent at all. So a couple versions of student pastels that are very inexpensive that I like. I'll show you boxes here. I like the SMI pastels. I use these in my kids' classes. I don't have to worry about toxicity with these because they are non-toxic. And that's great because when you're doing pastel, a lot of times you get dust in the air, especially if you blow on your work, which you shouldn't, but you can get that dust in the air. And artist quality pigments can contain cadmium, lead, cobalt, and all sorts of nasty things you don't want to breathe. So unless you're going to invest in a dust collection system, I would just use the kids stuff until you get like really good and you want to keep, you know, you want to frame your stuff forever and ever. Now this is Sargent. Sargent also makes a really good cheap pastel. I think this was under $15. Definitely under 20. And the other children's or student version that I'd recommend that I think is really good is a Faber-Castell. And oh, this is neat because this is a half pastel set. So you can buy full sticks or half sticks, and full sticks are like this would be a full stick. And a half stick is half that size. So here, this is a half stick set. They're really great for travel because you get all these colors in not a lot of space. Oh, I hardly use this one. Nice. But these are really nice quality too. And I like that you have more colors. And generally, you'll pay the same, you know. So if this was, you know, a 72 set, it would be like the same price as what's that, 36? 36? Does that have 72? So you pay about the same as 36, but you get more colors. So that's a great option. And like I said, they're really pigmented. They're good quality. I haven't really noticed a heck of a lot of fading, because if you're typically going to keep a pastel in your portfolio with glassine on it until it's time to frame it, and then when you frame it, you've got it matted under glass, so that does cut out a lot of the fading that might happen. So honestly, I don't see any reason. You're not going to notice a difference while you're creating with these student grade pastels for any of the tutorials that I'm going to share with you. So don't feel like you have to go and spend a lot of money. I think this was definitely under $20. Okay, so that's a Faber-Castell 72 soft pastels. Okay, so we've looked at hard pastels, and we've looked at kind of the medium standard pastels. I want to show you, oh, this is another one. This is Lowell Cornell, also makes a decent soft pastel set, and I've hardly used this because it's precious and it's in a wooden box, and for some reason it's precious and I can't use it. Probably because I have so many other pastels and it really wouldn't give me that many more colors. I have these 72 colors probably in this set, but I just really like that case. So that's something you might want to consider. You might want to consider buying a set of pastels that comes in a case. It's really convenient for the way you like to store stuff. Okay, and I'll show you these. This is just how another way you can buy your pastels. If you opt for a set, then they typically will come in some sort of storage, like this Winsor Newton box set. Aren't they pretty? And this foam insert protects them, so if I drop it, it's not great. I'll probably crack some, but it's not going to be as devastating as if I dropped these drawers. So this would be a great travel storage situation, and you can just buy empty travel storage cases for pastels, and I would definitely recommend that, especially if you're getting expensive ones and you're buying them individually. But here, these trays actually fit into this 3-drawer unit. I got it at Jerry's Artorama many years ago, and I think it was like $24. It's a beechwood unit with drawers, and you just put your pastels in it, and this is a studio solution though. This isn't something you'd be portable with. So just to let you know, this is great if you're always going to work at home. The other type of box is better if you're going to be traveling. So just know that. And also, if you buy an easel, like a French easel, you can actually buy ones that are customized for pastel. If you don't oil paint, get a pastel one. If that's what you like to do, get the easel that's right for you. They'll generally cost about the same. I also want to show you these Conte crayons, or another type of a hard pastel. You can see they're small, they're square. They do contain a little bit of a waxy binder though, so they're not probably as good for layering more pastel over them, but that's just to give you the idea there. And these Masters Pastel, they're actually branded under their name Carvin now. Those are also available for $10 for $48 at Jerry's Artorama. They're not sponsoring this, by the way. I sound like an ad for them, but they're not sponsoring this video. But these actually are more of a hard pastel. I did test these out in case you're looking for something that's cheaper than NuPastels for your underpainting. These are a hard pastel, but they're still the soft pastel line. They're chalky, but they're firmer chalky pastel. And you can also see like they've got the smaller, tighter shape that's going to give you a little more control. So that's an excellent option for you. And also pastel pencils. If you want even more control and you want a hard lead, pastel pencils will also give you that same hard lead. Honestly, I have a set of 24 Derwents, and I've got some General's pastel pencils. I really don't use them that much. I'm definitely more of a fan of the stick, but personal preference. If you like more detail, you'll probably want the pencils too. I actually grab them from time to time because I just need a little more detail in my work. Now we also get really soft pastels, and my favorite would be the Schminke brand. Oh my gosh, these are so buttery and beautiful. But you don't want to start your painting off with these because they're too soft. And if I started painting with these pastels, I'd get one layer and I wouldn't be able to add any more because they're so soft and so much pigment comes off when I color with them. So if I can find my paper here, I don't know if I'll be able to find that paper again. Well, hopefully. I just cleaned off my table and I have no room. This is crazy town. Oh, here it is. And I'll just show you this in a second. That's just an example of some paper. So anyways, these are so super, super soft that, I mean, they just, you can't really hear. I wish you could feel a vision and you could feel this. They just feel like, I mean, just look if I rub it on my finger, how much comes off. It's just buttery smooth. They are wonderful. They're great. I like them. Even if you don't buy a set of these or a bunch of these, get some in like white and your really light tints because they're great for just adding that little, you know, sparkle, that little white highlight on the top. I don't have all my Schminke pastels here because I have shipped my other box of them out for a class that I'm doing that I have to use them for, which is really hard to ship your precious out and hope they get there. I hope they get there because they're precious. But anyways, these are my favorite soft pastels. But again, I just use them for the tiniest highlights and adjustments at the very last stages of my painting. That's why they're all practically new. And I've got a lot of really dungy looking boxes of pastels because I've used them for so many years. I tried to pick the fairly decent looking ones for our demo today. Oh, and Pant Pastels also fall in this super soft category. Let me pause the video and go grab like a flat of those so you can see. Hello again, these are the Pant Pastels. I really enjoy these. You can get these individually, and I would recommend picking up a couple individually and seeing if you like them first before investing in a set of 20. I mean, this is I think all in this painting set of 20. There's also a white and a black, so I think maybe those two don't belong in here. But I sometimes will move my pastels around in their palettes just so I have what I need for a painting ready. And with these, you use tools that, just saying, I think mine might be upstairs. As you can tell, oh no, they're right here. Use these little like palette knives that have these almost feels like makeup sponge material, but they're these hydrophobic, I believe, sponges. And so you just pick up and look at all the color you get just from a swipe. It's kind of like eyeshadow, and in fact, I would recommend you try painting with eyeshadow. Get a cheap set of eyeshadow from Target or whatever and try it. And if you like that, if you like the feel of doing that, then you'd probably like Pant Pastels. But you can, and honestly, they'd be cheaper than buying eyeshadow. But you know, if you just want to get like a set of, 100 ELF cheapy eyeshadows and just see if you like playing with them before you go and invest, that's totally fine. The reason I'm doing this is because I mentioned I was going to do some pastel tutorials, and somebody's like, oh, can you please tell me what I need before you start? And I'm like, well, I don't want anyone to go crazy and buy stuff they don't need, so I thought, and look at that, look how pretty. And so I thought I would just do this so you guys could get kind of a general feel about for what you might like. And I'll be doing oil pastel and soft pastel, so if you have one and not the other, I'll try to, like in each tutorial, give you tips to use either way, so you're not so you don't feel like you can't do a tutorial in either medium. Some people are gonna like oil pastels better, some people are gonna like chalk pastels better. We're all different, so that's totally fine. So these are as soft as the Schminkas. It's just how you apply them is different. Oh, this is a good idea. Good point. Good point. If you are one of those people that cannot stand the chalky feeling on your hands, get these. Promise you, you will not be you'll not be happy handling the, if you don't like the feeling of pastel sticks, those chalk sticks in your hand, get these. Get a package of the things of the applicators. If you get the sets of 20, maybe even the smaller sets, they come with some of these tools and the tips. So you can kind of look around and see where you're going to get your best bang for your buck, but you don't have to touch the pastels at all if you use Pant Pastels, which is a significant deal if you really want that look and you don't want to mess with the sticks. You don't want that feeling on your hands. I totally understand that. So these would be an excellent option for you. They're not cheap, but they're artist grade pigments. You've got a set of 20 at Jerry's. I got mine at Jerry's and I used a coupon too, because they had if you sign up for their mailing list, you get a 25% off coupon, and it's like welcome 25, I think, but you get to get 25% off your order, and it even took it off the sale prices. I'm not sure if this is still the case, but I got mine for like 50 something. They retail for $109 for a set of 20. I just want to let you know that so you don't have like convulsions when you go check out the prices. And I would recommend the painting set. If you can only pick one, get the painting set. Okay, so oil pastels, I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about paper. It was funny, I was going to do this as a live show, but my week was just a little crazy. I might tell you about it later. It's, I'm not ready to share yet, but I just knew I couldn't commit to a live show. So this paper, and it's called Strathmore Art Paper. It's not expensive. I paid like $8.30 for that. I don't know where I got it. But I think it's a pretty regular item, but it's got a really great tooth on it. I'm not sure if it's acid free because I lost the little paper that went with it. I've never seen it yellow, and I've been using it for quite a while. But I really like the textures on here, and it's not like a coated paper. It's got a nice rough surface. It'll grab the pastel well. But if you can just look, when you're buying paper, if you can just, gosh, I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't see that texture on the camera, but you want to see a visible texture. You want to be able to feel a roughness. Can't Send Me Tints paper is excellent for pastel. Just feel it. If it feels a little rough, watercolor paper is great. In fact, you can do pastel over crappy watercolor paintings that didn't turn out right. Turn it into a pastel painting, nobody's gonna know. Sometimes I'll take even cheap watercolor paper, do a wash of whatever color I want in watercolor, and then do my pastel over it. So there's so many options when you start mixing your supplies together. It's amazing. Alright, so oil pastels, I think rather than waste another piece of paper, I'll just keep working on this. And this is just a textured cardstock, so if you have some textured cardstock in your scrapbooking stash and you want to use that, go for it. Please use what you have. That's what I love. Alright, so these are super cheap. I think they're about $5. This is a set of 50 Pentel Arts oil pastels, and I just picked them up at Jerry's. I'm pretty sure they were $5. They were definitely no more than 10. But again, they're opaque. This gray. They're creamy. They're like Crayons. If you ever used Crayons in school, Crayons is a great oil pastel company. I have to say I've never used any really expensive, nice artist quality oil pastels in my life, so I can't really, you know, talk about those. But I love these cheapies. They do really well, and they work for me. But you know what? If you want to go and invest in artist quality oil pastels because you love them, go right for it. It's, you know. I just haven't. So with these, they will blend just like a regular pastel, but they're more of like a creamy, kind of like a lipstick. They feel very much like lipstick. And these are oil-based, so I would need to use like paint thinner if I wanted to thin them down. I also like to use these when I sketch on my paintings. Like if I'm going to do an oil painting, I'll sketch on with oil pastel that instead of a pencil. That way when I start painting, it's going to dissolve in the paint. Or I'll even add thinner to it to kind of make my wash on my canvas that way. So it's a very versatile medium, and that's what I always would do, save my oil pastels from all the art kits that I would get as a kid, and I would just use them for oil painting with paint thinner. So, you know, it's a great way to use it, and you can also introduce yourself or your kids to oil painting without a huge mess. Now, there's a couple different brands of water-soluble oil pastels now out in the market. These are the Prima, and I really like these. I got these at Hallmark Scrapbook, and these are pretty new. They are, again, very lipsticky, creamy feeling. And also, the gelatos are very, very similar. So if you have gelatos, same idea. The only thing about the gelatos is I have a hard time getting any detail with it because I think they're a little bit softer, and also they're in that hard plastic case, so they're a little bit trickier to you know, get an edge. You know what I mean? Because you're just kind of like usually using just the blunt end. So as you can see, you can blend them with your finger, so like that. I'll bring that up a little closer for you. Okay, and you can also blend them with water. I must have a water brush. Oh, look see how thick and creamy the pigment comes out though. It's really, really great. Yes, I have a water brush right here. It just happens to have water in it. Oh, I'm on the ball today. And so you can blend it with water as well. But you know what? Usually these are a little bit more expensive than a regular oil pastel, so you can do this with Goo Gone or paint thinner or whatever you have. So I just wanted to put that out there in case you already have some supplies. I really believe in using what you have, and also being informed about what else is out there in case you want to expand. Absolutely. I know one side my bread is buttered on. But seriously, guys, definitely want you to use what you have. Now, this brand, I really like this brand. This is Portfolio. So both of these are 24 color sets, the Prima and the Portfolio. The Prima is 20. Gosh, it might be. I'm thinking they're 20, and Hallmark has them for 16. Or maybe they're 25 and Hallmark has them for 20. So they're in the $20 range. And these are $8, in the $8 to $10 range. These are Portfolio by Crayola, 24 in the set. And honestly, these are a fantastic value. They're fun. I bought these originally because I wanted to get into watercolor crayons, but the watercolor crayons, the Caran d'Ache crayons, were just too expensive. So I decided to give these a try, and I was so happy with how they performed that I just always use them. And so you can use them on top of watercolor crayons because they're a little fatter than the watercolor crayons, but they work great. These aren't very good colors that I chose. I chose gray and like navy. That's not great. I don't feel like these are as opaque as the Primas. That's the only downside. Let me get some of the similar colors so we can give it a little bit more of an apples to apples comparison. So here is a nice, yeah, like I feel like this isn't quite as opaque, but it's also less than half the cost, so, you know. And we'll get a little pink. And the colors are a little bit more vibrant, I think, because they're less of a fashion color. They're more for like, they're geared for like students. So I don't feel like these are quite as pigmented as the Primas, but they're not bad. And I'm working on colored paper, so it's really apparent when you're on colored paper how opaque and pigmented something is. But that's also a really excellent option for you if you want to try oil pastels. So we have a lot of different options here for what to buy and how to store it. Probably most of my tutorials will be on the soft pastels. So if you hear soft pastels, they're just meaning chalk or clay. It's basically pigment in a stick. So you got color and you got clay and just enough binder to make it stick together. And your artist quality just has much more pigment and less filler or binder. And that's pretty much what goes into a pastel. It's a very simple, pure drawing medium. Painting medium, and it's very rewarding, and you don't need a ton of stuff to get going on it. So that's what I really like about it. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I love to hear your opinions. If you have any ideas of things you'd like me to draw, I already have a long list of things I want to do already, but if you guys have some ideas, please go ahead and leave them. Another thing about the chalk pastels is you can actually wet them down and blend them. That's a fun idea if you're working on watercolor paper and you don't have watercolors, but you want to tone your paper. You can do that with the pastel and water. Just kind of scribble it on its edge all over the paper, then add some water to it. So it's another fun option. But they're very versatile, and I like products that are versatile. I like to share those with you because, we buy our stuff, we want to use it, right? I hope you found this fun and informative, and yeah, if you are a pastel artist and you like a certain brand that you can recommend it, leave it in the comments below, recommend it. So it'll help people, it'll help me because I haven't used a ton of different brands, and it'll help your fellow artists have a little guidance when they go to shop for them. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting.